Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Chatting Packers versus Steelers. Keys to victory, key matchups, all that fun stuff. Well, let's kind of, first off, look at where both of these teams stand offensively and defensively. So let's begin offense, okay? How are the Steelers offensively this year? You know, they got Aaron Rodgers, you got a little DK Metcalf and such. Well, in terms of yards per game, the Steelers are towards the bottom third of the league. They're averaging about 297.5 total yards per game offensively. Green Bay, for comparison, 343.3 yards per game. Okay, if you break it down by passing yards per game, Green Bay, 225.8, which is just outside the top 10. For the Steelers, they're not too far behind Green Bay, 203, a little over 203. So you're talking about a 22-yard difference. In terms of rushing yards per game, Green Bay is about middle of the pack, pun intended, 117.5 yards per game, whereas the Steelers, they're in the bottom 10, 94.5 rushing yards per game. Points per game, Green Bay is top 10, 26.3. Steelers just outside the top 10 at about 25 points per game. So those are just some of the offensive rankings, numbers for both these ball clubs. What about defensively, though? Green Bay is a top 10 team. In fact, 6th in yards given up on the defense. Sixth best, 288.5 yards per game. The only teams that are better than Green Bay, Cleveland, Atlanta, Denver, Houston, and Kansas City. So technically Green Bay is the second best in the NFC. Whereas the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're talking bottom 5 in terms of yards given up per game. 374.7 yards per game. If you break it down from a passing standpoint, Pittsburgh is second worst. The only team worse than Pittsburgh in pass defense is the Dallas Cowboys. Pittsburgh has given up 258.8 yards through the air. Compared to Green Bay, you're about halfway, 212 yards per game through the air they give up. In terms of rushing yards, Green Bay is second best in stopping the run this year. Only team better than them is Seattle. Green Bay giving up 76.5 yards per game on the ground. Pittsburgh, probably just past the, not quite bottom third, so maybe a little bit higher, but they give up 115.8 yards per game on the ground. Points per game given up, Green Bay allowing 20.8, and then Pittsburgh 23.3. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of a background in terms of where both these ball clubs line up in stats and numbers and rankings, total offense, total defense, and such. So you look at a lot of that, and what does it say? It says, well, Green Bay averages is higher in a lot of the rankings, both offensively and defensively, if you just want to make it simple as that. But is it as simple as that? No, it's not as simple as that. And I think for a game like this, you do have to have the Aaron Rodgers factor going up against his former ball club. So what are some of the keys to victory for this thing? I think a big thing for this, and it's actually probably for both ball clubs, but if we kind of focus just on the Green Bay side of it, protection, one in the trenches, offensive lines and defensive lines in this thing. Green Bay offensive line, you got a premier pass rusher in T.J. Watt over there. We know all about him, right? And you look at Pittsburgh, they're top 10 in sacks this season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th. They're 6th in sacks this season at 22. Green Bay, for comparison, has 18 so far. But if you're the Packers offensive line, which I don't know, the last couple games, you've kind of gotten off to a little bit of a slower start. You can't let Pittsburgh get after Jordan Love and keep him under duress a whole lot and able to bring him down to the ground. I mean, you gotta be able to rise up to the challenge and protect Jordan Love in this game. That's a huge key. And then on the flip side as well, it's can Green Bay pressure Aaron Rodgers, get to him early? I think this Packers defense going up against this Aaron Rodgers offense and such, we know Green Bay can pressure the quarterback. We know, but how quick can they get there to Aaron Rodgers? Yes, Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out quick. We know this. But if that throw isn't there, we have also seen Aaron Rodgers throughout his career. If it's not there, he may hold on to it just a little bit to try to make a play. Or if the Steelers are behind, maybe holds on to it a little bit more to try to make a play. It's going to be key for that Packers defense to not only get after Aaron Rodgers and pressure him and get him off his mark, but can those corners rise to the challenge? Can they bounce back and have a better game? If you're Halfley, if you do go in and say, do you challenge your corners going up against DK and such to play man-on-man or to be aggressive? The communication on the back end in that secondary has to be boatloads better than what it was against Arizona and even better than what it was against Cincinnati. You're going up against Aaron Rodgers, one of the most cerebral quarterbacks of all time. Don't let him pick apart your defense. Not too many times are you going to confuse him with pre-snap looks. He's seen a lot. He's going to be able to diagnose a lot and figure out what a defense is going to do. I guarantee you, maybe he spent a little bit extra time in the film room scouting. But if you're Jeff Halfley, do you unleash something? Do you bring out something different that hasn't been on film this year to try to surprise Aaron, to try to surprise the Steelers' offense a little bit? Is there something that you haven't done yet, that you haven't put out there on film, that maybe could catch them off guard a little bit? Like, I'm confident Green Bay is going to be able to provide some pressure, especially Devontae Wyatt playing this game, and he practiced again yesterday. Devontae Wyatt playing in this game is going to be huge for Green Bay. And there might not be somebody more excited about Devontae Wyatt coming back than Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons yesterday saying, quote, "He makes my life easier. He understands how to rush, how to play, his play style. I just think he brings guys along." Devontae Wyatt's number one fan is Micah Parsons. And if Devontae Wyatt is out there, and we saw what he could do from a pass rush standpoint, but if he is out there and he can provide pressure up the middle to get into Rodgers' face right away, then you could kind of maybe even use Parsons a little bit more across the line of scrimmage, as he kind of noted yesterday too, to try to, that's kind of the goal. Because let's face it, he's probably going to face more double teams than what Arizona did. It still boggles my mind that Arizona tried to block him one-on-one as much as they did last week. Pittsburgh's probably going to try to double team him, but that's where the counter is, as Parsons alluded to a little bit yesterday. You keep moving him around, trying to keep those offensive linemen confused, guessing, that sort of thing. But if Wyatt's there and he's able to provide that pressure up the middle, you have the flexibility to maybe move Parsons around a little bit. But I think not only I'm confident Green Bay is going to be able to get pressure. It's just, can they get it there quick enough? That's where it's going to be so crucial for this secondary, for these corners, to have better communication if they're going to continue to play that zone. Better communication on the back end. Better play. Play in the football a lot better than what they have been. That is such a huge key. I don't think you're going to be able to, every week we've talked about trying to create turnovers. And, I mean, you're going up against Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it for 18 years. He doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, it's a very rare thing. I know he's already got 5 interceptions this year, but it's incredibly rare for Aaron Rodgers to turn the ball over. So you have to play some incredibly sound defense, some incredibly sound pass defense. Might not be a ton of opportunities out there to come away with big. But if you do, I mean, it's not to say that Rodgers hasn't, made some bad throws over his years and defenses haven't been able to come away from it. But I mean, if there's a guy that gets a hands on your ball, whether it's Nixon, Williams, McKinney, I don't care who, come away with that pick because it might be pretty darn rare, incredibly rare. But, DK Metcalf is going to be a handful for this Packers team. He's already got 4 touchdowns this year. We know he's a big dude, big wide receiver. Will he be double-teamed most of the time? To me, that is going to be one of those releases when they play that zone defense, whoever's lined up against him, whether it's a Carrington. I hope we see Carrington Valentine more than this game. I don't know if we are going to. But if it's a Keyshawn Nixon or whoever, and they do those releases, there's got to be that communication on the back end. Because as soon as that corner maybe releases and gives it to the safety up the top, that's where Aaron can strike and hit that zone, that gap in that zone. You got to be able to be on that same page, and it's got to be just a smooth transition. You look at the tight ends for Pittsburgh. Green Bay, we know, has struggled to cover tight ends. You got Pat over there for the Steelers. He only has a $187 yards receiving and a couple touchdowns. Don't let him have a career game. Don't let Smith go out there and have a career game. DK has been the primary target so far in the passing game for Rodgers. Of Rodgers' 1,200 passing yards, 400 have come from DK. But don't let Darnell Washington or Smith. The Steelers have 3 deep in tight ends. Don't let them go out there and have career games. If I'm Arthur Smith and the offense coordinator for the Steelers and Rodgers in this offense, I'm looking at how do we get more of these tight ends involved, because that's kind of been a weakness for Green Bay in this instance. Going back to the pass rush, I do want to put in, Devontae Wyatt's, if he's back, big improvement, interior pass rush. You could have the flexibility of Micah Parsons. But look at what Quay Walker has been doing. Ezra Cooper's been a little quiet. This might be a game where one of those guys, you got Devontae Wyatt, then you got Micah and Rashawn Gary. You want to get after Aaron Rodgers quick, and you want to get him off his mark right away. Might be a game for Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper coming on some blitz packages. Packers offensive line, though, too. He may be up there in age, and a lot of the talk and a lot of the focus is definitely going to be on TJ Watt in that. But you look at last week with some of the pressure, and even against Cincinnati, you got Cam Hayward, veteran, been around for a long time, still plays at a high level. Offensive line has to be aware of that. Not only TJ, Nick Herbig, or Highsmith, or whoever's coming off the edge, that interior pressure too. I mean, you look at the Steelers' defense, you got a Jalen Ramsey on the court. You got Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson at linebackers. Protect the football. Take care of the football if you're the Packers offense. No picks, no stupid decisions, no stupid throws, no fumbles, nothing like that. I think it's going to be really important for this Packers offense to play with a lead, this Packers team to play with a lead, to jump out to a lead. Put them in a 2-touchdown hole right away. Pittsburgh has struggled to really establish the run this year. So really try to make them one-dimensional. Take the running game almost completely out of this thing. And it is kind of weird, but kind of put it on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. But you got to have that lead. You got to jump out to a lead. If Pittsburgh jumps out to an early lead, couple touchdowns and such, and then the confidence is flowing and all that sort of stuff, then it's like, okay. But if this offense, let's say they get the ball first, go down there and get that touchdown. Force a quick 3-and-out. Go out there and score another touchdown. Jump out to a 14-0 lead. You have to keep the foot on the gas the whole time. You're not letting up. 60 straight minutes of full-on pedal to the metal. The one thing you can't game plan for in this game is going to be the mentality of Aaron Rodgers, the motivation factor from Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder? Sure. Yes. If that's what you want to call it, yes. Is he going to be motivated? Yes. Is it a revenge game? I don't think it's a revenge game. It's human nature to want to play well against a team that you have spent your almost entire career with, your Hall of Fame career with. You want to perform well in front of them. You want to perform well against them. So I don't think it's a revenge game, but there is going to be a little bit more emotion attached to it. But on the same side, you can say the same thing for Jordan Love and for this Packers team. They also want to play well against their former quarterback. Jordan Love wants to play well in front of his mentor. So while a lot of the talk is surrounding Rodgers, going up against the Packers, Jordan Love, I guarantee you, Jordan Love wants to go out there and play well against, or up against. I hate saying against because it's not quarterback versus quarterback, it's quarterback versus defense. But Jordan Love wants to play well in front of Aaron Rodgers and wants to, quote, out-duel him. You may not say that, but come on. All right? The competitors at the highest stage. Every competitor has that mindset. You can downplay it so you don't provide extra motivation. And that's the thing, too. It's like Green Bay's not an idiot. They're not going to put something out there to, they're being incredibly cautious in maybe some of the wording and stuff that they're going to say about Rodgers because they know how he operates. Oh, was that a slide? Okay, I'm going to use that. No. There is definitely mutual respect on both sides. But I guarantee you Green Bay is also smart enough to say, hey, don't say anything that might be perceived as something Aaron can use against us. He's just he'll use it. You can't prepare for it. You can't game plan against it. I think it's going to be a good game, to be honest with you. Players who got to have a game. Players who got to have a game for Green Bay in this one. One from the offense, one from the defense. I am going to go defensively. The easy answer defensively would be the secondary, the corners. But if I'm narrowing it to one because that's easy. I'm going to go Keyshawn Nixon's got to have a game. Yes, Aaron gets the ball out quick. But I feel like Green Bay can get that pressure. But that pressure won't do anything if he's going to continue to get the ball out quick. How do you let him hold on to it for another second, half second that can make the difference? Solid corner play, getting in the face of those running back, or getting in the face of those wide receivers, those tight ends. You could pick a linebacker, you could pick a safety, you could pick a corner. You'd be all right. But if I'm narrowing it to just one player, well, I'll go with cornerback number one, and that's Keyshawn Nixon. Got to have a game. Offensively, the guy that's got to have a game. Again, you could go with the whole interior offensive line or the whole offensive line, interior and then the tackles going up against this Steelers defense, whether it's an interior offensive lineman trying to hold down the fort against Cam Hayward, tackle, whether it's TJ Watt or Nick Herbig or whoever. Herbig's having a fantastic year this year too. TJ Watt's obviously the name and such, but Nick Herbig's having an awesome year. Whatever offensive lineman you want to pick, you would be right. You want to pick a wide receiver, maybe going up against Jalen Ramsey? Sure. Josh Jacobs, because Pittsburgh stinks at stopping the run this year, so just feed Jacobs. Yep, you'd be right. But I got to go with an offensive lineman. And I'm going to go with the left tackle, Rasheed Walker. Protect Jordan Love. Protect him. I was going back and forth between Rasheed Walker and Elton Jenkins because of Elton Jenkins possibly being, lined up against Cam Hayward and such. I could be convinced on either one of those dudes, Rasheed Walker or Elton Jenkins. But it's got to be an offensive lineman that's got to have a game today or on Sunday. But I'll go with the left tackle in this instance. So my two players, one from the offense, one from the defense, players who got to have a game, Keyshawn and Rasheed. Keyshawn Nixon, Rasheed Walker.